You guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yes, sir.
All right. I was meeting with a guy this morning, and he was one of the most interesting men I've ever met in my life.
Well, I got bad news for you. If you left one of the most interesting men you've ever met to come talk to us, then you may have made a mistake.
Mistake number one: being fit is never going to be out of style. And the thing is fat's never going to be cool. Being obese and being overweight is never going to be cool. And so everybody's definition of fitness is different. Obviously, Rich Fronings's definition is different than the 45-year-old lady that's just had 2 kids.
Well, I've tried for 39 years to make fat cool, and you're exactly right. It just ain't going to get that way, is it?
Hey, chubby's never going to be in.
Just go ahead and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do so everybody knows.
Well, we started out. I was born and raised in Alabama. Football coach forever, because that's what you did. I mean, my dad coached football for 37 years, and so that's what I was going to do. And so I went to college and played football. Coached high school a couple years in Atlanta. Coached college football for about 10 years, and then realized that working 70, 80, 90 hours a week it's a very, very admirable job, and I love the job. But the problem was I was raising college kids as opposed to raising my own kids. I got out of that when we had our second child. We've got 3 now, 7, 4, and 6 months. And so I got out of that. When I got out of that, I went to work at a church. Now, in the process of that, I had gotten involved in CrossFit. We had gotten involved in CrossFit back when it wasn't cool and no one knew what it was, and people were really making fun of you. But then with the rise of ESPN and all those different types of things, now all of a sudden it's cool and everybody wants to do it. And we've been doing it for, 4 or 5, probably 6 years now. And so we've enjoyed that and kind of rode that wave of being on the front end of all that. Now in CrossFit, obviously they force nutrition down your throat because it's rightfully so, because it's a very, very important part of your fitness. And if you go through a level 1 or go through anything that Glassman says, the pyramid, the fitness pyramid and all that stuff, nutrition's at the bottom. And so we just kind of learned as we've gone. I was a PE minor in college. I was a history major, so I didn't really pick this stuff up in college as far as like the nutrition stuff. Now, I've always been interested in food, one way or the other. Just my mom didn't cook. We ate out of a drive-through a lot of the times. So I really wasn't into that as a kid, and I started cooking when I got to college. And really enjoyed it, and we did when we moved to North Carolina, and we just progressively got more and more into that. But really, I'm more self-taught than anything. And so I was working at the church just because I didn't have a job, and I really liked it there. And one of the guys walked in and said, "Hey, can you help me figure out what to eat?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so I made him a meal plan. Said, "This is what you need to eat." I said, "Go to the grocery store. Here's everything broken down by item. So you need to get this much of this much of that." Did that. And then a week or 2 later, a buddy of his emailed me, because at the time I was on no social media. This was 3 years ago. Emailed me and was like, "Hey, can you send me that plan that you sent Greg?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so then I had some guy send me a check in the mail. Then I had somebody then I got a Facebook page, because we were on Facebook 2 or 3 years ago. And from there on, it was get a PayPal account. After that, get a website. Funny story about how I got my website. I priced a website at like $5,000, $4,500, $5,000, and I was like, "Man, that's a lot of money. I ain't got that kind of money." And this guy that worked at the church with me is really into that stuff, and he said, "Hey, I really want to have big arms." I said, "Okay." And I said, "How about this? How about I train you and you give me a website?" And he's like, "Okay." So I trained this guy for like 12 weeks, and he gained like 25 pounds. It looked awesome. Because you know how it is when the guy's never lifted before. The weight just sucks on them. They walk in and look at a bench press and they get bigger, And so we benched, we squatted, and we deadlifted for 12 weeks. And the guy got bigger and he loved it, and he made me a great website. Well, we've kind of adapted that thing over the last 3 years, and we've kind of really grown out of it. And so we're in the process now of getting a new website, which I'm really excited about. So we started meal planning for people. We have clients in over 25 countries. Right now we've got somebody in Dubai, somebody in France, somebody in Canada, a lot of people like in the Caymans and things like that. So, I mean, we've got people all over the world that do our stuff. Well, then, after we did that for a little bit, I had a lot of these soccer moms in town. It's like, hey, we're not going to do your plan, but if you started making the food, we would buy it. And so we started Meal Fit Ready. And then we've had bodybuilder people who are like, hey, can you just make me like 5 or 6 pounds of chicken and like rice? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And so we started Meal Fit Prep, and that's been good. And then we started catering things. And then now we've got a little salad bar that we do 4 days a week called Meal Fit Salads. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a really, really fast ride, but it's been a lot of fun. We've even got a gym membership now. We're doing an affiliate thing where a gym member buys a subscription, and his gym members get a super deep discount on the plan. So, I mean, it's growing. We're excited about it, and that's kind of the 2-minute version of the life the last 3 years. So,
well, there had to have been some sort of fork in the road or jumping off point where you decided I'm going to do this full time versus I'm just helping a few people out and preparing a few meals. How did that come about?
My wife is how that happened. So the whole reason I got out of football is because I was working 70 or 80 hours a week and having 2 kids. That's pretty hard. I mean, when I was in North Carolina and we were at NC State, I was working like 90 or 100 hours a week. But it didn't matter because Jackie was working a ton too, and she was working 30 minutes away, and she was coaching her butt off. And when she wasn't coaching high school, she was coaching club ball. And so we were like 2 ships passing the night the first 2 years of our life. Loved it because my boss was a pro coach, and I thought I was going to be the next Vince Lombardi. And so I didn't mind working 100 hours a week. When you have kids, I don't know if you both have kids, when you have kids, you view life out of a different set of glasses. Everything changes, from your diet to the movies you watch, the music you listen to, the clothes you wear. Everything changes. And you can't explain that to someone that doesn't have kids. It don't matter how much you talk or how loud you talk, it doesn't change. They don't understand it. And so I was working at the church, and MealFit had really kind of started going. I had the website, and so I stood doing a lot of things manually because I hadn't had a CRM yet. And so I would come home from working at the church and working 38 or 40 hours a week. I would come home from working at the church, and then after I worked at the church, I would go and I would do MealFit till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. The quintessential idea of an entrepreneur starting out at his business while working a job. And she looks at me one night at like 10:30, and she goes, "Do you realize that you're working coaching hours again?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You're here, but you're not here. You come home, we eat dinner, you sit down, and you work for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and then you go to bed. You wake up at 4, you do it for a little bit, you go coach class." And again, I was working 80 hours a week again. And so what we did is we said, I went to the boss, and I said, "Hey, what if we went part-time with this thing? I work a couple days a week at the church, did more at MealFit." "Okay, we'll do that." And then it got to be the same thing again. I was working at church a couple days a week, and still it had grown so that I was up to 50 or 60 or 70 hours a week doing both. And so I just finally went to him and it's like, "Hey, look, we're generating enough money now to where it's going to be okay, but you're always unsure of the unknown. You're always unsure of, what if this is just a fad? What if people don't really like this? Or what if I can't do it?" There's those little things that you have in the back of your mind. And in my opinion, that's the devil trying to hold you down from the things you really can't achieve. And so I kind of tried to squash all those doubts and said, "Screw it, let's go." And so we did it, and it's been the best decision we've made in a long, long time. So my wife was really the jumping off point for that.
Do you still wrestle with those doubts? You strike me as a really passionate guy and somebody who, when they make a decision, would be pretty confident about the direction it would go. I see your coaching skills come through in your personality. Probably if you told me to do some push-ups, I would most likely do them. Did that fear did it diminish as you went along, or do you still carry some of that as an entrepreneur?
No, I think that you always carry some of it, but it's like biblically, you have two definitions of fear. Like, I am scared of skydiving. I have a fear of skydiving. I don't want to go skydiving, but I also have a fear of my relationship with God. It's a reverent fear, but that reverent fear drives me to be better in my relationship with God. Same thing with owning your own business. Yes, there is fear that I'm going to go purchase this $10,000 smoker that I just purchased a week and a half ago, that I am not going to make my money back on. But there's also the fear. That fear also drives me to go work my butt off to produce income and to produce revenue that I will pay it off. So I told myself, I'm going to bust my butt for 6 months, and I'm going to get this thing paid for. I've paid for it in cash, but I'm going to get this thing paid, get my money back in 6 months. And so that fear drives me to keep achieving. I spent a lot of money on this salad bar, trying to get this thing going. That fear has driven me to keep going with trying to achieve. So I think fear can paralyze or fear can empower. You have to pick what it does. I think it's healthy. I freaking love it. I love going to bed at night and not knowing what the next day holds. It makes me get up in the morning and want to go bear hunting with a switch. You know, I want to go attack the day really, really hard. And so I think it's two. I think it's both. I think it can either paralyze you or it can empower you, and I choose to let it empower me.
Yeah, and I feel like the more time passes and the more you work as a business owner, you get better with that. You know, you get better at you just, I don't know how to explain it, but you just think differently than you did. You know, like for me, when I was working a 9-to-5 job, I had a whole different way of thinking than I do now that I'm a business owner. You know what I mean? I just look at everything totally different than I did when I was working for somebody else. And it's really scary at first because you're in charge of it. You're the one that's responsible. But as the more time passes, I feel like you get better at dealing with that and handling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would ever, 4 years ago, if you'd have said, in 5 years you're going to own your own business, I'd said you're full of crap as a Christmas turkey. I love coaching college football. I love coaching football, whether it be college or high school. But now, if you're to say, hey, you know what, you're going to be working for somebody again in 3 years, I'd say you're crazy. Just because I can't imagine going back to work for someone. This morning, for example, Jackie had to go work out her girls, their volleyball team, and so I stayed with the kids. I mean, if I'd told my boss 4 years ago, hey, I need to stay with the kids until 9, he'd have been like, no, you got to come to work. No, I'm the boss. I can do what I want to do, Now, obviously, you got to have things in place where you can do those things. That's where hiring comes involved, and that's probably the hardest part about this life is hiring people that can take as much pride in your business as you do in your business. So.
You're clearly a man of faith. Do you feel like that your passion found you as much as you went looking for your passion? Is this what you enjoy doing? Is this the meal prep? Is this what you're most passionate about in your life up there with family?
Yes and no. Is it at the actual meal prep? Yeah, I guess. But I think it's more of I hate seeing people miserable in their fitness. And I know fitness is a very, very trendy word right now. And health, fitness, whatever you want to say. I hate seeing people miserable. And I want to make your life easier. And preachers tend to preach on the things that they are going through. People tend to gravitate and want to help the people that they are like. My passion is for people in that age of 25 to 45 that have kids and are busy and need to be healthy. I hate seeing people in the drive-thru. I hate it. I don't want to see you and your family in a drive-thru and you feeding your kids Coca-Cola and chicken nuggets and all that other bullcrap. I want to see you guys eat real food. Now I get it. You're off somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you've been gone for 10 days. There are ways you can eat healthy at McDonald's. I could do it. You could do it. But the constant process of doing that over and over again, I think, is the repetitive nature is what makes our society so overweight. But I want to help people be as healthy as possible, whether it be a meal plan for someone in Bangladesh or whether it's help the soccer mom that's got 4 kids down the road not have to go and buy McDonald's on Monday and Tuesday night because she's came and gotten Meal Fit Ready or Meal Fit Prep on Sunday or Monday.
Well, I really respect your approach to it. I originally heard you on Barbell Shrugged, and you were talking about how it just wasn't going to work to tell somebody, okay, we're cutting all this out. We're throwing it all out the window, and we're going to start with fruits and veggies, and that's all you're going to eat. And you had said, let's start small, and let's get rid of things like Go-Gurts, the little things, and move forward from there. And I thought, I like that approach much more than I like feeling like I'm a slave to something that I'm unfamiliar with.
Yeah. Well, have you ever ridden a jet ski?
I have.
Have you ever been on a cruise?
Yes.
Okay. So life is kind of like a cruise. Okay, a diet is kind of like a cruise. If I were to be on a jet ski and I were to turn that wheel really, really fast, I can stay on that jet ski. Okay, but if I were to be on that cruise ship and that cruise ship driver was to take the propeller and he was to turn that thing really, really fast, and he was going fast, what would it do? A lot of things and a lot of people would probably fall off that ship.
Uh-huh.
You have to treat your fitness and you have to treat your diet because it's something you do 3 or 4 times a day, every day. So it's an integral part of your life. You have to treat your diet like that cruise ship. You've got to turn the boat slow. If you don't turn the boat slow, you're going to throw people off the boat. And when you throw people off the boat, they're lost. So if you can turn people slow, turn the ship slow when it comes to people's diet, you're more than likely going to keep them on the boat and keep them content and over time. Because here's the thing, diet is not a one-time, one-week fix. I don't preach diet. I preach lifestyle and eating real food. You know what? South Beach diet probably works. Atkins diet probably works. So-and-so, Whole30, we can name them all day long. But I want people to eat food that God gave us that doesn't have 40,000 ingredients in it. That's my goal. And you can convince people that that's the right way, but you've got to do it over time because that's not the way our society is geared towards. Our society is geared towards now. And I'm reading this book called Salt, Sugar, Fat, I think that's what it's called. And the one of the things that changed this world was the invention of instant Jell-O. Because used to it took like 30 or 40 minutes to make Jell-O. And this one guy convinced his company that they could make Jell-O in like 3 or 4 minutes, and so they did. And the biggest word that they used when doing that was the word convenience. Okay? Convenience is the key to our society. And if I can make your life a little bit better and healthier by making things convenient for you as far as the things we're doing, shoot, I've done a good job. And that's part of our mission. The one thing you have to ask yourself as a business owner is you never ask, what is the next big thing? You're not going to predict the next big thing. You're just not. People ask Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you guys follow Gary Vaynerchuk. People ask him all the time, what's the next cool social media? He's like, I don't know. It's reaction. You have to be able to react. What you do know as business owners is people are never going to stop being less busy. People are not going to be less busy. They're always going to continue to be busy because of wasting time or because of too much on their plate. Most of the time it's wasting time and being poor planners. So that's the thing. That's the hole we're trying to fill is helping people that are busy because people are going to continue to be busy all the time.
Right. That's a good point. I've been on that cruise liner 1,000 times, and I jump off and I get on the next one that looks brighter and shinier and easier, and I jokingly tell people I start a diet 3 times a day, and I get on it and I'm hardcore, and then I get hungry and I fall off, and it's a vicious cycle, and you know the drill, you're familiar with it, and I'm aware of my problems. It's just a matter of making the good decisions and preparing ahead of time, going ahead and being ready, because I'm 30 seconds from. It's the difference between apples, oranges, and carrots and crystal. I'm a 2-minute decision away from that.
I agree.
That's why I think that what you're doing is something that's practical and that I want to look into personally. And when I plan ahead, I tend to do well.
Yeah, I agree.
I've got a question for you as far as as a society, how much of our problem do you feel is based on addiction? Based on food addiction?
Okay, so sugar is the #1 addicted substance in the world. People think, that marijuana or alcohol or all those other things are. In my opinion, it's sugar. Caffeine's pretty close, but I think there are a lot more downsides to sugar than there are caffeine. I think that anytime you take something out of your sphere and it causes you to feel bad, you're addicted. Okay? So if you went Whole30 or no sugar or whatever, a lot of us would have headaches, would have withdrawals, would have lack of energy, would have all those things. So in turn, I think that addictive personality is a very, very big problem. Now, I'm not saying that you should never eat any sugar at all. I mean, you're going to have someone that says, fruit's got sugar. Yeah, I get it. Fruit does have sugar, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, for a normal, everyday person. But as far as addictions are concerned, what we do is we gravitate towards the things that we love. If you look at most people's bank statements or credit card statements, you see the same old thing over and over again. Whether it be Starbucks or McDonald's or Longhorn Steakhouse, whatever. You see the same things over and over again. People go to the grocery store, they buy the same 15 or 20 things over and over again. I mean, they do. We're creatures of habit, and we're creatures of addiction, mainly because that's what we know. Now, I think part of the problem is back in the late 70s, early 80s, they started telling us that we needed to eat 9 to 11 servings of grains a day, and I think that's where the problem started. To be totally honest with you, I think that's where the nucleus of our issue started, because they started teaching us that we needed grains, we needed cereals, we needed bread, we needed all those different types of things. And so what happened in turn is all these companies started figuring out how to make these things as cheap as possible. And when you make things cheap, you use artificial man-made ingredients. When you use artificial man-made ingredients, they're cheap because we can produce as much as we want, whenever we want, however we want. But you know what? There's only so much broccoli that can be made in a year. It's like in my garden right now. I've got broccoli, and this is the last harvest until the late fall that I'm going to be able to harvest any broccoli. Why is that? Because broccoli don't grow real well in hot weather. It just doesn't. And it's late, mid-June right now, and so broccoli's going to sprout. I got to cut it, and I'm going to have to pull them up because you can't produce it all the time. Man-made ingredients we can produce all the time, and so that's where we get the process from, and I think that's why we're in the shape we're in, because we've been encouraged so long to eat these ingredients that these big companies have mass-produced and made not as healthy for us. You know what? 50 years ago, bread wasn't really bad for us. There wasn't 47 ingredients in bread, and 46 of them you can't pronounce. Used to, it was bread, salt, sugar, a little water, a little yeast. Hey, let's go. Now it's methylformaldehyde, So, I mean, to answer your question about the addiction, I think that companies have done a good job at addicting us to the things that they want to addict us to.
Oh yeah, and do we have some bad feedback here? Are we hearing that?
I don't hear anything.
Okay. And so, since it's so easy and cheap to buy all that junk, people have filled their houses up with it. Particularly people like us with the kids, And when someone I heard you say something before on a podcast about how you take someone that has 3 kids and a pantry full of Mountain Dew and cereal and Little Debbie's and all that other stuff that's like really easy and convenient. You just take one thing away at a time, or just cut something in half. I think what you said was like, you got a guy that's drinking like 14 Mountain Dews a day. Start drinking 7, right? And just make that little change and then stick to that, and then watch and see what happens.
Yeah. The willpower, in my opinion, needs to be tested at the 30 minutes you're at the store. Don't go home and test your willpower because you bought Bluebell or Oreos. I love Oreo cookies. I love them. we don't buy them because I'm going to eat Oreos if they're at the house. But I make a decision to not buy those things because I know that that's one of those things. It's like my dad. My dad's an alcoholic. My dad don't need to go to a bar. Stay out of the bar, Dad. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same thing. You got to take yourself out of position in order, because everybody knows what they fail at. I mean, you do. I mean, there's some that don't. You know, someone around you knows. So we can correct those things pretty easy. But yeah, I think that the little things that we can take out of our diet on a daily basis or a weekly basis are things. The problem we have, though, too, is people have done an amazing job at marketing in a way of healthy, natural, organic, all those types of things. And so what people think is, if I can just take this thing that says healthy, this thing that says natural, this thing that says organic, and I can insert this into my diet, it's going to make me better. The problem is not inserting healthy things into our diet. The problem is taking away bad things from our diet. And there's a huge, huge misnomer. And a lot of these major companies don't care. Hey, if you take this and drink this, you will be healthier. It will give you more energy. It will make your hair grow faster. It will make you have bigger muscles and things like that. When in reality, if we can take some of the bad out, you really don't need all that other stuff. You know, if you can just take the bad out instead of inserting the good, that's why we're broke too. Because we just add things to our life instead of taking the bad out and adding the good in.
I'm guilty of everything that you're talking about. There's never been anything that I couldn't add to my life that I wouldn't pay a price for, assuming it's going to work by about noon tomorrow.
No question.
If I'm on the wagon, I'm on it pretty well, and once I fall off, it's all bets are off. And I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol for the past 5 years, and I've shifted from that to food. And I find myself using that, as a crutch at times, and the weaning off of the processed foods is a difficult deal. And that's why when I hear you say that you love chocolate Oreos, you love that food, you're not immune to that stuff, I'm more apt to listen to somebody that says, I fight the same fight. We just got to maybe approach it in a different way.
Oh, let me tell you something. I could eat Bluebell ice cream every day. I love ice cream. I do. I love ice cream. So I think the biggest thing you can do is alienate yourself from people. When you're trying to help people, alienate yourself from people that deal with the same problems. I don't eat this. I don't eat that. I don't eat that. You know what? I do eat ice cream. I freaking love ice cream. Saturday afternoon, I'm taking my daughter on a date to go watch The Little Mermaid at a old school playhouse here up the road. When we get done, we will go eat ice cream at some place. Because I'm not a huge fan of rewarding people with food. I don't think that's right. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a treat every now and again. But it's the way we live. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing very, very well. Then one time a week, not one day, one time a week, saying, hey, you know what? I want some Bluebell. Or, hey, I want to go to Ice Cream City and get some ice cream. Economically, it's not the best thing in the world to go to an ice cream parlor and spend $4 on 2 scoops of ice cream, and you can go spend $4 on a gallon at the store. But I would rather spend the $4 on the 2 scoops of ice cream than the gallon at the store, because if I buy the gallon at the store, I've got it all week, and I may eat some of it all week. So health and fitness comes with a price sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Do you get feedback from your customers as far as, do they tell you that it gets easier, and if it does get easier, is there a timeline where if they can stick to it generally for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, that they tend to stay on it?
I don't think there's a magic number. The number I hear more than anything is about 3 months. Ty Lopez is an entrepreneur in California. He has they've done studies and things like that. I think it was over in England, where you always hear 21 days to make a habit. Some people think that's a myth. They've done extensive studies about 66 days. They feel like is a timeline when you can actually make a shift in your whatever it is, your thought process, your living, things like that. So 66 days is a little over 2 months. The word I keep hearing is 3 months. You know, about 2 or 3 months, and we made the total shift to eating a good lifestyle. Now, that doesn't mean you're a loser if it takes you 2 years. I mean, it's a process. You know, it took me about a year to convince my wife to try CrossFit. You know, 2 years later, she's at the CrossFit Games, competing in the CrossFit Games. So, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you just got to be patient with people. You know, if you have something that you believe strongly in, you believe it works, it's good, and you want someone to adhere to your beliefs, it's like you have to be patient. It's the same way I related this in another talk we did. Diet and Jesus are the same thing. If you want somebody to come to Jesus, you're not going to just walk in and kick the door down and say, "Hey, you're gonna know Jesus, or not, or else." It's the same thing with food. Hey, you're going to get healthy, or else. I did that to my wife. She looked at me like I had a unicorn horn coming out my forehead. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You've got to be patient. Now, you don't have to be passive on your thought process of being a pushover, but you got to stand to what you believe, but you also just be patient with people, because people are stubborn and people are stuck in their ways.
Well, patience and persistence is the theme that I hear you echoing.
You mentioned that your wife is in the CrossFit Games. She's a CrossFit Games competitor. What about yourself? Like, how do you work your training into your everyday running your business and all that? I mean, does training take a priority every day, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, it does. But my kids are more important than that now. Back when we went to the games in 2013, I think. And we were two times a day, sometimes three. We had a real strong group of training partners. Had some individual athletes here at the same gym that were going to the games, along with our team that went to the games. And so training was a priority. We would get babysitters to go train with the team. So it was a big deal. Now, at the time, I did not own my own business either. That's not to say that you can't. But for me, training is a priority, but my kids are more important. Life is all about decisions and choices. You don't have time, you make time. You make time for what's important. And I'm done before 6 or 6:30 exercising every day. If it doesn't get done before that, it usually doesn't get done, because after that, my kids are up. And I'm not going to go. Squatting is very, very important. But my 3 kids are more important than back squats, So I'm not going to put that before them. Now, I will put my sleep and my extracurriculars before them. Not before them, before my fitness. Because I will take those things out of the equation so that I can be fit. Because if I'm not fit and I'm not healthy, I can't provide for them, number one, and I can't be the dad that I need to be, number two. Because you got to be fit and you got to be in shape to play with your kids and jump on the trampoline and go traipse in the garden and go exploring through the woods and riding your bike and jumping off the trampoline and throwing your kid up in the air 45,000 times in the pool when they want to keep doing it over and over again. You've got to be in shape to raise productive, healthy kids. That's my opinion. So what I'll do is I'll take out the things that in my life that they're priority, but you have to figure out what the most important things are. If I were to train for the CrossFit Games right now, I would have to hire someone else in my business to do a lot more of the things that I am currently doing in order for me to have the time to train multiple times a day. Right now, I don't have that, and so I'm not doing that. So to answer your question, I train every day, at least 6 days a week, and 95% of the time, I am done before 6 or 6:30, just so that I can have the rest of the day to do the things that are in my life.
How much importance do you place on sleep in conjunction with nutrition?
Not a lot. It all depends. I say that. It all depends on what you're doing. if you are a competitive athlete, if you're a triathlete, or you're a bodybuilder, or you're a college football player, or you're a CrossFit athlete, you need more sleep. You do. You need more sleep because you're grinding your body, and you need the sleep in order to recover. If you are a dad and you're a business owner and you're trying to stay in shape and you need to get another hour out of the day so you can do more work, do that. I wake up at 4. I mean, I go to bed at 9:30 or 10:30, between 9:30 and 10:30, sometimes 11, depending on what's going on. So that's what I get every night. Now, should I probably get more? Yeah, probably should. But you know what? I'm not going to go compete in the CrossFit Games. I'm not going to run a triathlon. I'm not going to go. I ain't doing all that. I'm not taxing my body in the form of multiple times a day, long, long hours. Now, when I'm training, I bust it. Whether I'm running, whether I'm lifting, whatever I'm doing, I'm getting after it for that time. But I'm not doing it for 4 hours a day. I'm just not. And so I think it all depends on what you're doing. I think eating is the most important thing. I do. I think secondly, I think training and what you're doing physically is probably second, your most important thing. I would put sleep third. Just again, there's probably going to be someone that rebuts that and goes in an article and sends you a link about how stupid I am. Personal opinion, don't have a whole lot of science to back it up. Just personal opinion that I know what works for me at 36 years old.
So I said we'd keep this under an hour, but I really, really, really want to talk about your website because I was really excited about it. So tell us what we get at MealFit.
If you're local, there's tons and tons of things that you can get from a local standpoint. And answer the questions everybody out there is going to ask. We do not ship. There are no plans for us to ship in the future because it is incredibly expensive. These companies that are shipping food, they are either in a lot of debt or they are shipping a lot of food because, I mean, I had a company that came in and wanted to invest in MealFit and ship food, and I started doing the numbers, and I was like, the number of meals that we would have to produce on a weekly basis to make money was astronomical. And so if you're local, we've got tons and tons of things. If you're online or you're remote, we've got an amazing plan that will help you save tons and tons of time and tons of effort as far as what you're doing with your nutrition. The most valuable commodity on the planet is time. Warren Buffett and Thomas Cox have the same amount of time. Now, he's got a lot more money than I do, but man, that sucker got the same amount of time. And how you spend your time is one of the most important decisions you will make on a daily, hourly, minute basis. So if I can save you 2 or 3 hours, I know how long it takes to plan a week of meals. I know how long it takes to pick recipes that are healthy. I know how long it takes to write grocery lists and do all those things. If I can give you 2 or 3 hours of your time, shoot, that's great. That is absolutely awesome. And so that's what we do. We give you time and take away the stress of having to plan your meals for the week. And that's what we do at mealfit.co. Now, if you're a gym owner, the gym owner thing I'm really, really excited about because I work at a CrossFit gym 3 days a week, and so I coach 3 classes a week in the morning. And when I first started there, and it wasn't the same people all the time, I got questions all the time. You know, what do I eat? What do I need to be eating? Can you tell me how I need to be eating? Like, you know, you get sucked in by one of 2 people. There's 3 people at the gym about nutrition. You got the one person that's like, hey, look, I don't care. Just tell me what I need to be eating. And so they expect you to give them exactly what they need to be eating. That's fine. I can do that. Then you got the other person that asks 4,000 questions, and they want to know every macronutrient they need to be eating for their weight. When I lose weight, do I need to change my macros and eat more fat or more protein? And what kind of carbs? I mean, they have all the questions, and they want to study it, and that's awesome. Those people are great, too. You have to have a direction to point them in, too. We can help them there. But then you have the other people that really don't give a crap one way or the other. They're going to go drink beer and eat vein sausages, and they really don't care. What we can do is we can help the gym owner with those things. We have that MealFit gym plan on our website where a gym owner can purchase a subscription for $50. After they purchase a subscription, all of their gym members can get our plan for $10 a month. It's normally $40 a month. So you're looking at 75% off what we're doing. And shoot, with the videos and the articles and the pictures and the grocery lists and the recipes that we try to make. And when I do these recipes, I try to make these things to where it's mom friendly and dad friendly, to where it's not something that you have to go to Whole Foods and get, all the crazy ingredients for. Now, I shop at Walmart, I shop at Aldi, and I shop at Sam's. That's it. Because I understand that not every city in America has a Whole Foods or has a Trader Joe's. And so I try to make things that you can find just about anywhere. Now, granted, if there's something on there that I really like that I think we need to make and it's really cool, I'll send you a link, an Amazon link. Hey, you can get this product in 2 days with Amazon Prime. Not a big deal. So the gym membership thing is really, really cool, and I'm really excited about it because as our new website comes up, we're going to start doing some really cool things with that, with webinars and question and answer sessions and things like that, so that because people are always going to be interested in nutrition, and so we can help with that. And what that does is it takes time off of the gym owner, because gym owners like coaching college football, man. You guys are married to that thing, and if I can encourage all these gym owners, hire people that you trust that can help run your business, because the last thing you want to do is go out of business because you get burned out and you don't like coaching anymore. So
when you set out the recipe for the meal prep, is your excuse me, my feedback is up again. Is that for the whole family? Do your kids eat the same thing that you're eating?
Yeah. If my kids don't eat our food, they don't eat. We don't go make pinto sandwiches or whatever because they don't want to eat what we got, what we've made. Our freaking kids eat what we made. We make our kids try everything on their plate. You don't have to love it. And I don't make them clean their plate, but I make them try everything on there, from squash to avocado to eggplant to steak to pork to everything on there. I make them try it. I'll give you a great example. My 7-year-old, for a year, hated avocado. Hated it. Every time we had it, I made her try it. She tried it. I made her swallow it. She thought she was going to gag. Whatever. The thing you got to understand scientifically is kids' taste buds change. Make her try it. Make her try it. Make her try it. One morning she wakes up, she freaking loves it. She loves it. She can eat guacamole by the truckload. She knows how to cut an avocado, take the pit out, scrape it. She knows how to do all that at 7. She loves avocado. So don't give up on your kids. Okay. The worst thing you can do is just say, well, they're not going to eat it. Well, by God, that's your fault. It's your fault as a parent if your kids don't eat the way you want them to eat. You have created that monster. You have. I've got a friend of ours that she uses the excuse that, well, all she likes to eat is hot dogs and ramen noodles and chicken fingers. Holy freaking moly. It's their fault as a parent that you're not exposing your kid to enough foods and making them. You are in charge. You are in charge. Let me tell you something. A kid will eat when he is hungry or she is hungry. If they're not hungry, don't make them eat. Now, the worst thing you can do is give them something to substitute Cheetos, ramen noodles, or something that's super duper easy that you can just throw it. Hey, listen, parenting's hard. Don't give up on your kids. When you give up on your kids, that makes them easier. It's easier for them to give up in the long run. So don't give up on your kids. Create good habits. Make them try things. Even if they don't like it, it's okay. This is what we're going to eat. This is how we're going to eat it. Long answer to a short question. Yes, our plans are geared towards families. Now, I can do things for the CrossFit athlete or the triathlete or the one that's doing the higher volume. I can do things like that. It's obviously going to be more expensive because it's going to be a little bit more tailored. But our demographic is for families and kids to eat in a way that's healthy. So that's who our meals are planned for. It's not just planned for one person. It's planned for anywhere from 3 to 5 people, depending on the recipe.
Okay, that leads me to my next question. We had one of our athletes who was asking about getting rid of flabby skin around his midsection and underarms after losing weight, and I was curious as to if you worked with individuals or if what you did was for the masses.
We do. We primarily work with the masses, but we can do individual stuff. Again, it's the reason we can stay so affordable is because of what we do is created for the masses. Now, obviously, we can get as specific as people want to. It obviously gets a little bit more expensive when you do that. But yeah, we can do that. As far as people that have lost a ton of weight, that's a process that they have to be super patient with, because it took them 20 years to get overweight. It's not going to take them 20 months to look like, you know, a CrossFit athlete. It's just not. People have unrealistic expectations. You know, I feel like if it took you a year to get in bad shape, you need to give yourself at least half that time to get in good shape. If it took you 5 years, you had babies for 4 years, back to back to back to back, you need to give yourself a year, 2 years to get back into the shape you were in college. Now, some ladies, if they hit it hard, it won't take them that long. But if someone's had a baby and they've just now started, a year after, just now started trying to get back in shape, and in 6 weeks they're pissed off because they don't like they looked before they had their first child, that's unrealistic. I'll just sit there and tell them, hey, babe, you're not going to look like this in 6 weeks. This is a process. It took you 4 years to get overweight after having 4 babies. It's going to take you a while to look like you want to look. Now, everybody can do it. There's a girl in our gym right now, had 4 kids, 3 pregnancies because she had twins. She's worked her butt off. She looks amazing. She is 35, and she looks better than most 2-year-olds. She's worked her butt off. You know, she eats our food every week, and she works out at the gym 4 or 5 days a week. You know, it's not rocket science.
Right. I got one more question, then I'll let you off the hook. We had another one of our athletes asked, what is your favorite go-to meal? If you're in a pinch and you don't have the luxury of having all your groceries in front of you, where do you go?
Like what store?
Mm-hmm.
Like a restaurant? Okay, so you're always safe with fajitas. You're always safe with fajitas if you go to like a Mexican restaurant. There are 17 Mexican restaurants in every city in America. It's unbelievable. It's like Baptist churches in the South. They are everywhere. Mexican restaurants are everywhere. So you can still make really, really good decisions at Mexican restaurants. I think one of the things we do is we'll go to, if we want to, we're super, super clean what we're doing. We'll go fajitas, no tortillas. That's really all you've got to say. You can get a mix of steak and chicken, and once you get a mix of steak and chicken, you can put that in there, and you can have the lettuce and the pico and the avocado, and I'm not afraid of cheese and sour cream, so you can have the cheese and the sour cream, and you got a great, great meal. Most of the time they bring rice and beans. It depends on if you're super strict paleo. If you're super strict paleo and you don't want the rice and the beans, hey, don't get the rice and the beans. You know, if you're at a Mexican restaurant and you want chips and salsa, I think they put cocaine in it because it's so addicting because you just keep eating it. But if you want, there's 2 tips we have for that. So if you want to kind of watch what you're doing and you're not like super strict, take your chips and break your chips in half. You're getting double the, because a lot of what we do in that setting is it's social. So it's talk, eat. So if you want to cut back a little bit, you can take your chip, break it in half, and do it that way. You're eating less chips because the chips is what's bad for us. Or you can ask them, it's going to cost a little bit, you can ask them, hey, say, can you take 3 bell peppers and you cut the bell peppers into slices and I can have that as my chip. So you take that as your chip, and if you do that, man, you're really, really getting low on the, whether you're a caloric guy, you're a carb guy, you're a fat guy, whatever it is, you're really getting low on the macros if you're doing that, because that's an easy fix. Now it may cost you a couple extra bucks, but leave out the tortillas. Get bell peppers as your chip if you go to a Mexican restaurant. But if I'm in a pinch and I still want to stay clean with everything, I can go to a Mexican restaurant and get that. So another thing you got to understand is restaurants are in the business of serving. It's all about service with them. Whether you're at Chick-fil-A or you're at McDonald's or you're at Longhorn or you're at a 5-star restaurant, they are in the business of serving. Now, it may cost you a little bit, but you can order what you want to order. You can order, if they got hamburgers, you can order hamburgers with no bread and no cheese or no whatever. And you can order, most of the places are a little more health conscious. You can order a salad. You can order fruit. Hell, McDonald's has got fruit now. You order what you want to order. They are serving you. So don't be afraid to say, I want this, but don't put this on there. Or I want this, but I want this on the side. Or I don't want this. I want to put this together with this, and this is what I want my meal to be. It's their job. And if they get snippy about it, go talk to a manager. Be very, very nice. Just talk to a manager and say, hey, this is what I would like. Is there any way you can do that? 99.9% of the time, they will adhere to what you want to do.
Man, Thomas, that's awesome. I really appreciate you talking to us today. I feel like we could talk to you for another hour.
Anytime you guys need me, you let me know. I'll be glad to do it. Let's just plan it out. And any topic, just let me know. I'll be happy to do anything for you guys. Okay?
Oh, anything else you want to plug? Your website's mealfit.co, right?
Mealfit.co. It's not mealfit.com. Some guy in California owns .com. He won't sell it to me. So mealfit.co. We're obviously on the Instagrams and the Twitters and Facebook. Really, the best place to get us is like Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
We're on Twitter, but we're not super duper active on that. YouTube's great too. We love YouTube stuff. We're trying to do more and more videos on YouTube every week. So we've got a new blog. We do have a new blog out, and I'm pretty excited about this. And it kind of fits the thing that we adhere to. I mean new. I mean like a week, 2 weeks old. We got a new blog, and it's still going to be on our website, mealfit.co. But it's called Paleo Plus Cheese. And so the thought comes by of we like the paleo thought process, but we're not like super strict to where we don't enjoy the things that are still real. Like I think cheese is amazing. I love cheese. It's a real food. Eat it. I think there's a handful of other things that out there that I'm not a huge rice guy because I don't like the way it makes me look. But I think rice is a good meal. I think it's good. It's a good product. I like red potatoes. I grow red potatoes in my backyard. My wife looked at me this morning and said, those red potatoes are freaking amazing because I grew them in my backyard and we ate them for dinner last night. So, Paleo Plus Cheese is kind of the thought process we do have with the way we live in this real food world. So go to that blog. It's got some cool stuff on there. A lot of good videos on how to make things that you would probably think that are very, very complicated. They're not very complicated at all. So we try to make do some good videos on some things there. So paleopluscheese.com.
Cool.
Thomas, you got some real fans here in Olive Branch. I can't tell you how nice it was to meet you and how much I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on here with us. And we are going to take you up on your offer to get you back on again sometime.
Please do. Please do. Anything you guys want to talk about, let's do it. One thing that if you guys want to get with later, one thing we're really exploring right now is I am starting to cook with some essential oils. And so I'm starting to dabble into that. So maybe next time we get on, we can start talk a little bit more about that. Not only the health benefits, but the flavor benefits and the different good things that they can do for us. So you may want to put that in your back pocket, and let's talk about that later on.
I'll definitely do that.
So,
all right.
Thanks, Thomas. Have a great day, man.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, Wilson. See you guys.
Bye.